Darren.
Hello, little bear.
My name is Angus.
Hello, Angus.
Yeah, this is Angus. This is my teddy bear, my dad. My dad's cropping up a lot in these videos. He's filthy, isn't he? A filthy bear.
That's how he's meant to be, though.
Do you think I could clean him? Or do you think it'd all go wrong?
Yeah, I think you can, but it's whether you want to bother.
Yeah. And this is Angus. This is, I think, the oldest thing I own. If not the oldest thing I own objects that are older. I own some musical instruments that are older than me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think this is the thing I have owned the longest. And this is my bear. And
nice.
He's wearing a kind of a cowboy outfit.
Oh.
That they taught you how to make. Well, I mean, I think they were really teaching the mums how to make on Blue Peter.
Right.
And my mum made it from instructions on Blue Peter. This sort of.
That's good.
Yeah. And yeah, my dad named him Angus. And here he remains with me.
Do you know why he's called Angus?
I don't know. It's just very much my dad's sense of humour. But then again, is it very much every dad's sense of humour? I don't know. Just a silly name he'd heard from somewhere. He's called Angus. Come on, Angus. I don't know. I've actually drawn Angus before. And I've actually sold paintings of Angus before. One. I think one. I don't know who brought it. Someone out there brought a painting of Angus from me. Lovely blue eyes Angus has got.
Lovely red as well. Colour of his
Yeah. That's a kind of interesting thing, isn't it? It's a completely false colour.
Yeah.
You know, this. And I mean, does that I mean there is something 60s about him, isn't there, essentially? I'm actually already going to start this. I've done his note. Like, that's so big. I'm going to start again.
Oh, he's a bit habitat.
A bit habitat. Now, I've done that in proportion, but I don't think I've given enough space for his left arm now. I'm tempted to start again.
Is this partly you feel like you got to do him justice?
Nah, that's all right. I'm going to stick with this one. It's great to draw. This is quite a relief after doing the Dragon 32 yesterday. Well, no, his arm does fit.
Yeah.
And let me look at your screen and see what's going on here. Well, there we go. Oh. Also a figurine of some kind, I think.
Yes. Yes, so you draw Star Wars toys a lot. I never had any Star Wars figures.
Well, I'm sort of thinking could this be Ming the Merciless?
It's not, but this is a weird thing. It's not, but it is, isn't it? This is Baron Ironblood from Action Force.
Ah.
And Action Force was the Action Man equivalent to the Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
I think it was the same people behind Action Man, but they wanted to cash in on the smaller figure craze that Star Wars created. And Baron Ironblood was obviously the baddie. And he's very much
a great TV series on Netflix. And there's lots of episodes of it. and it's called The Toys That Made Us.
Right.
And it's really good. They do Star Wars figures. They probably do Action Force, but they probably do Action Man. But other ones I remember were Transformers.
Right.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and what do you call it? He-Man.
He-Man, yes. Yeah,
and
I remember
it's really good. It's just interviews with the designers, and it's really fun.
That's so good. The He-Man toys were really expensive.
The He-Man one is particularly funny to watch because there's about 5 different guys at whatever toy company.
Yeah.
And it's sort of kind of clear that the idea doesn't really come from one person. It comes sort of osmosis from a few different people batting some ideas around.
Yeah.
But these 4 or 5 guys in their 70s will not let it lie. They're going to go to their grave arguing about who had the name, who thought of He-Man. Still, no, it's mine. I invented He-Man. No, is he telling you in the other interviews? Is he telling you he invented He-Man? He did not invent He-Man.
Would I be right in thinking that He-Man was basically a cartoon created purely to sell the toys?
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? It's like, I think what happened, I could happily watch these programs again. It's a little while since I saw them. But I think what happens is Star Wars comes out.
Yeah.
And somebody sort of gets the idea of like, why don't we make some little toys, little figurines, dolls to go with this? And this sort of thing hadn't really happened that much. I think a few films had tried to do little things. You could certainly get James Bond cars and things like that.
Yeah.
And nobody really knew if it's going to take off. And it went mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in a way nothing ever had before. Like the phenomenon of the Star Wars toys is as big a story as the film. And indeed, both things fed each other.
Yeah.
And I think the way these programs sort of tell the story is that just all the other toy companies just went, right, we need one. We need something like that. And so, like you say, Action Force, and they started to make things that didn't even have a film. You know, they just invented something. Like we're inventing something. We're inventing our story. And so with He-Man, they just invented, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, make up your story.
Yeah.
And the cartoons and the other parts of He-Man, you know, that came afterwards. So it was like a franchise that was started with the toys and then came the other side. I think Transformers is the same, isn't it? I think
it might be, yeah.
I think Transformers were a toy. We've invented a toy that from a car that turns into a robot. And then later on they went, I guess we should make some cartoons or something.
Yeah.
And then eventually it becomes movies. What else is there like that? Is there anything else like that? But like a film based on a toy?
Where the toy came first. I mean, a lot of those, I think we know these because they were the successful ones. There were probably lots of failed attempts.
Oh yeah, I bet there was. I bet there's like a fake or like an ersatz He-Man out there.
Yeah.
Ninja Mutant Turtles was a comic, wasn't it?
It was a comic first. It was just a guy doing his own thing. And then,
am I right in saying that its origins is actually a bit darker than it ended up being? Like it ended up being a kid's thing. The comic isn't actually a kid's thing at all. It was kind of, in some ways, a sort of satire of adventure things, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was quite violent. And I don't think, I could be wrong, but it may not have even bothered adhering to the comics code. Because America famously had a comics code for years where comics had to be there were rules on what you could put in comics and what you couldn't. But
that's strange, isn't it? Because I think of comics being almost entirely inappropriately violent. Like when I think of like Marvel and DC, I just think that people
even
die.
Those,
people die.
They were all adhering to. Sorry, Darren, I keep talking over you. They were all still, even the violent ones that you'd see of Batman and stuff from. You pick up a comic from the 70s, were still adhering to a comics code.
Right.
It's just puritanical America, where the kids are all going to turn into murdering psychopaths and that.
Well, they did.
Mind you, actually, but a lot of them grew up to be. I'm not going to go any further with that. Just look at America.
This would have been like the Tipper Gore thing, yeah? Would this have been around the same time that you had the Parents Advisory sticker on the album?
Comics Code was from the at least the 60s.
Oh, okay, so earlier.
Yeah. When it put a famous comics publisher out of business, there was a publisher called EC Comics who did a lot of horror stuff, like Tales from the Crypt was EC.
Right.
And they were, quite gory tales. They were brilliant because they had a lot of really great writers writing from people like Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho, and Ray Bradbury.
Right.
But they virtually went out of business just because of the comics code that came introduced, and they couldn't really serve up the same sort of thrills that they were giving customers. It was ridiculous, stupid thing. But the Turtles thing, I think that was just some guy. He's called Kevin, but I can't remember his surname. He was just, I think it was. Some people call them like outlaw comics, just doing comics yourself, and but quite violent as well, and like you say, satirical. And so that the Ninja Turtles one is a weird one, how it got co-opted and became something for kids. It became a cartoon. It got bought by a big publisher and that. And of course, over here, they were called Ninja Turtles. Hero Turtles, yeah. They weren't allowed to use the word ninja over here. Yeah. Again, worried that it was going to subvert the kids.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be reading those comics. Young Johnny should be learning how to get a job in a factory or get an education, go to Oxford and learn how to siphon millions of pounds of cash from the public funds.
I've made a big boo-boo. Angus has got a flesh wound. The one problem with trying to do these paintings a bit quicker is I don't always have time for the colours to dry before I do the next bit.
Yeah.
So I
might, good job.
I might just pause for a little bit to wait for this red to dry. This should have a little bit of shadow behind him. It's funny, isn't it? It's
do you think in Teddy Bear World, think Angus has aged, or is Angus young? Hey.
Where did my dad get the idea to call him Angus from? There's no way my dad would have been aware of Angus. And let's face it, if I had this bear in sort of 1970, 1971, AC/DC wouldn't even be a thing, would they?
No.
So where did my dad? I can't think of any other Anguses. Can you?
All I can think of is a very poor pun on the name of the Scottish cloakroom attendant, Angus McCaughtup. Maybe he'd heard the joke on the Dick Emery show or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it has that kind of humour to it, doesn't it? A name like Angus, like Carry On character could be called Angus or something.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how, I don't know, I'm 52.
Yep.
And yet, rationally, I know this is a piece of material.
Yeah.
But he isn't, is he? I don't know. There's something about like your some of your toys from that long ago. And there's no reason at all why this guy isn't going to outlive me.
No. I think I've still got mine. No idea where it is, but I do think that.
I think, like a lot of my toys, this Angus spent a good few years not being with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of some in-between years where he lived in a loft and was in a cupboard. And then all of a sudden, you have that sort of reconnection with some of these objects and things that they suddenly, like, as we talked in the previous video, me and my Star Wars figures, the old white gel pen glint into the eye works a treat on Angus.
Just something that amazing. I don't think we've ever really talked about it. And we've covered Star Wars figures. I think you painted some Star Wars figures on Brentwood videos before. Mm-hmm. It's the what you'd do with them as a kid. You'd be playing out like your own stories with them, wouldn't you? Using your imagination and making them battle and stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you some stuff now that I've never told anyone before. I suppose what's confusing about Star Wars toys and some of these toys is like, what were you supposed to do? Like, I think what you're supposed to do is like, it's weird. Like, you could buy these play sets, which would be a scene from the film. So what was you supposed to do? Like, what did they imagine the play was? You would act out the scene from the film. That seems like a little unfulfilling, maybe,
Yep.
Or do you sort of do the further adventures of, Luke Skywalker? Okay, now we're going to rescue someone from a different Death Star, which is, let's face it, that's all George Lucas did. He just did another film with another Death Star. So what I did was I had my own sort of Star Wars ripoff, but wasn't Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And essentially it was Star Wars, but it wasn't Star Wars. But I would act out my own adventures and use Star Wars figures and use all sorts of different toys, actually. And the adventures would ape different franchises. Like, I don't know, as I got more into Doctor Who, he then had a time machine and he was that kind of hero. And then when I was watching Judge Dredd, he suddenly became a policeman with a motorbike. Like, I didn't care, But, he went to the planet and then he becomes a policeman. And then he goes here and does that. And anyway, the name of my character, my multi-franchise character, who could be played throughout all my toys, was Peter Galactica.
Peter Galacticus. I love it.
Peter Galactica. I think I just saw Luke Skywalker and thought, I get it. You put a normal name. And his friend's even better, actually. His right-hand buddy was John Space.
Don Space.
John
Space.
Space.
It's like, have you been hanging out with Matt Berry?
And I swear there's other things I could tell you. There's other things I could probably dredge out of my mind about their adventures. I even used to cast him sometimes. I used to cast him. Like I'd imagine the actor that was playing him.
Yeah.
And definitely after the Flash Gordon movie. What's the actor that plays Flash Gordon? What's that guy?
Sam Jones.
Sam Jones was playing him at one point in my mind.
Brilliant.
And I reckon that might have been the first time I've told anyone about Peter Galactica. I guess I told possibly as many as 12 people on YouTube.
Well, I want you to draw Peter Galactica's comic.
Galactica! I'll start drawing him and you remember his effing name.
I thought I heard it as Galacticus. Galactica.
Galacticus is much more like a Roman sort of gladiator, isn't it? Whereas Galactica...
Galacticus is, I think he's a Marvel baddie.
I think he is, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't he sort of massive?
Galactica.
Planets?
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
I seem to remember
Peter Galactica.
Peter Galactica. Peter. Of all the names, Peter. Sorry, any Peter out there who thinks that Peter isn't a deserving hero name. Who thinks I think that Peter isn't a deserving hero name. Which I guess I both do and don't. I'm pretty pleased with Angus here.
He's looking lovely.
What's he got next to him?
I'm just his helmet. You're laughing at. There you go. Baron Ironblood's helmet.
You said helmet.
Yeah, the helmet. I noticed you can buy Baron Ironblood helmets online. I'm assuming they're 3D printed because people would always lose them.
Yeah, there's a whole repro industry around Star Wars figures.
Wow.
Replacement guns. And I saw that and thought, oh, that's good. But apparently it's people get furious about it. Because surprisingly, well, I mean, it's surprisingly easy to make a small plastic gun, you know, and and it's getting quite easy to fake them, and grown men are getting steadily more furious that it's almost impossible to tell a Princess Leia plastic gun.
Oh, no, I'm just having a quick look. I mean, we've both done our drawings. I was just before we go. Just looking up Baron Ironblood, Wikipedia. And yeah, that's right, Angus. The original figure had white gloves and an Uzi as a weapon.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
The second variant had black gloves.
Oh, black gloves.
Get this: the third variant, his weapon was a Palitoy Star Wars Han Solo blaster.
Fuck off!
It's true, Angus. It's true. Say goodbye, Angus.
There's something else in there's a thing in Star Wars where some toys get repurposed. There's something like some Ewok toys, like they didn't sell many of them, so they suddenly become Robin Hood toys and stuff like that, and they stick different heads on the figures. I think quite a few would suddenly retool certain things and try and flog them.
Love it. I love it. Right, everyone, say goodbye, Angus.
Bye, boy. He's got a different voice now for some reason. I don't think I've ever really settled on a voice for Angus. Boy, he talks
Bye,
like this
Angus.
now. Bye.
Bye.